Hi, welcome to Pika Critiques You. This illustration is by theoristgamer of their original character. They wanted some help with the construction of the body, in particular the arms and the torso. Afterwards, we'll be taking a look at this character design by Burkicle, who wanted to create a squid-inspired character with dreadlocks, and was looking for feedback on their design.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start by breaking down her construction into super simple shapes. We are not even gonna think about anatomy at this point, just simple 3D shapes. So the head can be a circle, that's fine for now. Like technically the skull is some complicated shape, but for now we'll stick with the circle. The body, at least the rib cage, will basically be a square. Some people like using beans, but I like these little cubes. And the pelvis will also be a little cube. She has a wide hip, so I'm flaring out the cube just a little bit. For the shoulders, I like to draw little circles, little spheres, and then little cylinders for the arms. Okay, so I like to draw a little cross over down here to keep the character grounded, but here it is. So I feel like you've put your limbs in more or less the right place, but they kind of lack 3D structure a little bit. You see what I mean? So now that you have this, let's smooth out the shapes a little bit more into an actual body. Because it's a simple style, I'm deliberately not adding too much anatomical detail. It's usually helpful to draw the center line of the body here, so you can kind of keep track of where everything is. And I'm just gonna make her lean back just a little bit more, doing the concept art pose thing, where I kind of push the legs back just a little bit. Actually, I think it's fine, we can leave it. And we can draw the clothes on top. There's a little ribbon here. This little butterfly bow is really cute. I wanna keep that. So I can see your belt here, but you wanna make sure it follows the form of the body. So that's what I'm gonna do here. So it's not quite just round like this, because the front of the body is relatively flat it's not actually just a cylinder, so that's why I drew it boxy, so I'll do something more like this. If you want to add a little bit more detail, you can do stuff like add cuffs to your sleeve, stuff like that, but this stuff is optional. As for this thing, I'm not sure what that is, but whatever it is, I noticed that it's just right on the knee area, which means that it would probably block her knee from bending. So you probably want something like this, a holster, to be either higher or lower. So whatever it is, I'm making it a little bit higher. I'm gonna flip it to draw the face because I can only draw faces flipped. I'm gonna keep the cute, simple style. We don't need changes here. It's adorable, all right? If anything, we move the mouth forward a little bit. You see, it's like your mouth is back here, but since we've drawn the center line of the face, we just kind of line up the mouth with that and make sure it looks reasonably centered, right? Okay, I'm trying to keep it simple, but remember when sleeves bend, when arms bend in a sleeve, make sure if adding a little fold here, where it bends will make it look a lot more like cloth. So remember that. So here I notice you've drawn it kind of straight down like that. If you want to imply that the shirt is tucked in, just draw a little bulge here. Break the silhouette a little bit. You know how like when you tuck cloth into a belt, a little bit kind of spills out the edge? You want to draw a little bit of that, and that will tell everyone watching that this is a tucked in shirt. Also this, you notice that how I talked about the center line? Let's pretend that this shirt is buttoned up. If you don't draw the line smooth all the way through and just draw a little wiggle here, that way everyone knows that, oh, there's a bit of a fold there, and you don't even have to draw the folds. It's the power of implied information in art, right? I might do some like really, really quick little colors here. All right, there you go. So this is my critique as well as a little construction so you can see how I did it, right? I hope that was helpful, theoristgamer, all right? I hope you managed to learn something from it. I feel like you have a lot going on here. In my head, I would like to simplify it because you have a lot of detail here and there. There's a lot of stuff going on here and there. Is this a tongue on the shoes? And then the skirt is just made of lots of different stripes. And I feel like all of these details are competing for attention. And like all things in art, if you have detail everywhere, then nowhere is detailed. Like, we don't really know where to look. So the first thing to do is to decide on a focal point. And because your squid hat is cool, we're gonna keep the squid hat. I may split the dreads a little bit because dreads this size, they kind of make me think of like, you know, big beaver tails, right? And I don't know personally if I like that too much, but at least for the hair, I'd like to split it into 2 dreads to give it a nicer shape. And I think that might look better. We'll just kind of curve the dreads. One thing you could consider doing for dreads is give them, instead of making them straight, because I couldn't quite tell they were dreads, give them a little bit of texture like this. Just give them a bit more texture, like so. So I will just kind of give them a bit more variation in shape to look more dread-like. I think the one thing that's stopping, like why I want to split it up, because the one thing that's making me lose the dread read here is that usually dreads, to my understanding, they tend to get thinner towards the bottom, right? Usually you don't see them getting all thick towards the bottom. So I think it'd be real, like if you want to keep the squid kind of feel to it, I would probably like maybe try adding beads or something here instead. I feel like would be fun. What if we just brought some thick beads here, right? That might make it more squid-like again. Or maybe tassels, something like that, right? I feel like that might work better rather than having these dreads, like really thick dreads on the floor. I think we'd be able to keep the kind of big feet feeling, perhaps, by like putting multiple dreads into here, right? And I feel like that would look more dready, right? But we can kind of keep the splayed out feeling by putting multiple dreads in here. I would probably try to do it this way. So as you can see here, I'm trying to repeat the shapes you have up here because that was one design element you really liked. So let's do it more. Now let's talk about the rest of the outfit. We're keeping a squid hat because it's cute. I might just emphasize the shape a bit more, make it even chunkier because it's adorable and I love it. As for this one, all right, like you said, I think you felt like you were just adding a lot of stuff. I feel like the skirt is too detailed, and especially the shoes. The fact that they are bright orange is kind of taking away attention from the rest here. When it comes to saturation, everything here is not that saturated. Look, the saturation here is like 56, 18, it's 52, 55, and this is like 67. So generally you want to put the most saturated things on the things you want to focus on, right? This draws attention to her feet. And unless you specifically want to do that for some reason, typically you want to draw attention near the face. I also feel like there's too much going on with the skirt here. It kind of feels like she's supposed to feel kind of relaxed and kind of, it gives it kind of a tribal feel, which kind of doesn't quite go with the hoodie, I think. There's already a lot of detail here in the dreads and the sweater, so I would choose to make the skirt simpler, just to give the eye some place to rest. So I'm gonna give her a side wrap instead. So like we still want to give it a relaxed look, but I think this fights for attention too much. Oh, the slippers have eyes and tongue. Oh, I just noticed. They're fun. All right, we're keeping them. Kind of like it's kind of like the hats. I would prefer it if the slipper was the same color as the hat, though, because to me the orange really does stand out a lot. For up to me, I would probably darken this part at least. Of course, this is just all my own personal opinion. You don't have to follow my advice, but then it's a little bit too much for me. And to make up for the lack of strands here, we can kind of put more. We can kind of like put some hair in the back like that. So as you can see here, like honestly, I haven't really, you said you were struggling a bit with the rule of cool thing. Honestly, once you've decided on a kind of design element that you like these sort of teeth-like protrusions here, instead of like going, you can just go heavier on it, right? Like I've added them here, and as long as you're kind of repeating shapes throughout the entire character design, it will look a lot more consistent. The skirt is simple because there's too much excitement in the other parts of your design, so we're gonna keep that part simple. Okay, now I'm gonna draw some of the black lines around the dreads, making sure to give them a little bit of texture. As for the hoodie, Okay, the tongue-like strap here. I don't mind this part too much. The X's are cool, I think, but I'm not sure how I feel about this kind of bottom stitching row here. Feels a little inconsistent because you don't see anything like that in the entire design, so I'm just gonna simplify this. I'm gonna adjust the hoodie shape a bit so it's more hoodie-like, if you know what I mean. Whenever I talk about drawing clothes, oftentimes I ask people to think about the construction of the clothing, because hoodies are gonna have seams like this, because that's where how the sleeves are attached to the torso. So always important to think about where those are and how to draw them. How your clothing is actually constructed, and that will make your design look a lot more believable. I think one important thing is areas of rest, so I'd probably remove an X or just move them lower down, just so that there's some space to breathe right here. If you have another one, it'd be smaller. Remember, variation in shape is good. So now there's like more space to breathe up here. So there are empty spaces here and here, so that the design doesn't feel as cluttered. That's really important to leave space like that, I think. Okay, so just improve the construction of this part a little bit. Here's the before, and here is the after. Overall, I think it's a very cute, appealing character, so I hope it was at least a little bit helpful. This would be how I would adjust her design. If you want to draw anything convincing, you have to understand how it actually works before you can design and draw it. Research is one of the most important things when it comes to doing character designs. So this would be my feedback. I hope you like it.